Hello, welcome to Code with Srini. This is a series where we will be building a simple HTML5 CSS3 web page, a very basic one. In this series, we will be looking into building a nav bar like the one you see in the final web page. Alright, let's build the navigation bar as we see in this final page. Okay. So for that, HTML5 have a special element called nav. In this nav, we can use it as a wrapper, and then we can we can add the branding logo. For branding, we will use text as of now, which is a heading 1, and then with a link which says branding, and then we will have UL li elements with anchor tag, and that leads to home. Let's copy and create more links. What else we have? We have our services, about us, products. This is just imaginary things. You can come up with your own stuff you like. Okay, contact us. When you see this, nothing happens, nothing is changed. Okay, which means the nav element, we need to apply some styling to our nav element. This nav element is similar to div. Okay, if you just change it to div, you will see the same result. Nothing, no big changes. Okay, so let's just change it back to nav, and then for the sake of semantic and for the sake of HTML5, let's declare something called nav bar. Okay, then the nav bar, we will define everything inside the nav bar. So navigation bar, we have nav bar. First thing first, okay, this is all about flex navigation. We are going to will employ an awesome piece of property called flex in CSS3. Once you apply display flex, it just aligns like this. Okay, in the early days where we'll be using the floats, even we'll be using now in this web page, but let's just try out with flex as of now. To learn more about how the flex works, the elements just align side by side, right? So we'll give more information, more details, more declaration to flex objects. In the flex, we can justify contents, so that we can justify saying that we want a space between these two elements, these two divisions, or we can have space around them and things like that. So when you say space around, between, and space evenly, let's just try out space evenly. So there are spacings. It will apply spacing evenly across these elements, but we don't need that. We need something like this, the branding over here and then the elements over there. Okay, so for that we need a space between these two, not here. Okay, so to do that, space between is the right choice. Okay, so it just pushed these two elements for end. So that's one thing there. And then align items. No, let's not use the align items now. Align items is basically centering the elements. So this one, if you notice that, I'll just remove this justify content. What happens is it will align the item centrally. So if you have more elements, it will align them vertically centered. That's right, it will align them vertically centered. So I'll just comment here. Centered. Then they justify. Let's have that one. I'll comment that because once we will go on, I'll uncomment that one. You can see the effect later on. Okay, so that's one thing. Here we have just targeted a nav bar using display and assigning a display as flex. There are other properties called block, inline block, things like that. We will be looking that later on, but let's just make it as flex because that's fairly new in the HTML5 world. Next part is, let's do the branding logo style. For that, we need to target this element. We need to target this section of the element. We need to come from here and select here and here. Okay, so to do that, we have a set of special properties in CSS using the nav, which is an element, and then which have a class called navbar, and then div, which will select a div element. All the divs, if you have a few more divs, it will select that one as well, but we will select only the first child of our div. And then the h1 is the one that carries the branding, and then the anchor tag finally. So we are directly selecting the anchor tag using this set of rules, and then apply the rule set saying that text decoration is already none, so we don't need a text decoration. We need to change the color to white because that's a branding. We have changed it. And then for the anchor tag is always an inline element. Anchor is an inline element. We need to convert them into a block element. Display as block. I will tell you why we need to convert them into a block element shortly by commenting them once we've done that. And set the background of the branding as tomato, which is a red accent color. Will give you this. To smoothen things up, we can apply padding. Padding will apply the space between the border and the text. Okay, so whatever you see as a text, it will just apply some spaces between the borders, between the border and the content. That's the adverb. So let's go with the REM, 0.8 REM and 1 REM. This is a shorthand property. What this means is we are setting a padding top of 0.8 rem, padding bottom of 0.8 rem, padding left as 0.8 rem, and right, I'm wrong here, padding left and padding right as 1 rem. So in CSS we have a thing called shorthand rule set, so we can apply shorthand properties like this, padding and then setting the rule set. Okay, so for example, if you're going to provide value for only one value, it will apply for all the sides of a box. Okay, but when you do this, just when you apply two values like this will take up top and bottom, and the next part will take up the left and right portion of the box. So this is top and bottom, this is left and right. Let's just see how it looks. Yep, we got our branding pretty much neat. Now we need some smoothing, like we need to add some border radius to give some attractive, that roundish look. Border radius of 25 pixels. 25 pixels will give out an even rounded at the edges kind of tablet kind of pills kind of effect. And then I guess we need to apply some uppercases to the branding. In fact, all the menus. So we will go with text transform and uppercase. Text transform will transform your text into whichever rule set you apply, like the uppercase, lowercase. Let's just stick with uppercase and then see the changes. Yeah, we've done the changes. And then the font size 1 rem, because this is an h1 tag, which is quite disproportionately big. We don't need that. We just need 1 rem, 1 rem as our font size. And finally, we done with the branding. Now next bit is we need to fix this part. It's quite a laborious process. Okay, now let's target to do that we need to target now ul, li and a. Okay, so navbar of ul we already set the list style type none, and then the display as flex. Flex. Why are we using background? No, we don't need to use background. We don't need background. We need to align items center. Oh yes, display flex and align item center. And no, we just this is enough. All right. So once we apply display flex, right? So we're applying display flex to this element, and all the child elements align according to the flex basis. So this one, everything is aligned, but we need to tune up. We need to apply some margin. We need to apply some blocks. Okay, forgot to mention about the display block thing that I mentioned earlier. What happens if I comment this, such as the anchor element is an inline block, and we have applied quite a lot of things here. So let's see what happens. Nothing major. Okay, so we don't need to get rid of this. I'll give you a better example later on once we encounter. And then, okay, so flex. Right, so this is done. Well, let's just target. Now we will li. Let's target the li list elements and set some properties, flex properties. UL is the container and li is the children element. When you have a display of flex set to the container, we need to set. We can customize the child elements, children's, with this property called flex. This is basically flex grow 1 and flex shrink 0 and so on, and flex basis. Yeah, so this is basically width. We don't need to specify any width, right? So what does this mean is flex grow means when your width viewport grows, it will grow according all the child elements will have a flex width of 1, set to 1. Okay, when you shrink all the child elements based on the viewport shrinkage, it will shrink based on that for this navbar. Okay, so let's style up the anchor tag that are in the navigation elements, such as UL, LI, and A. Let's start with that. So here we need display block. I'm not sure, we don't need that, but let's just check it. And let's set the padding of 8 rem, 1 rem, color, let's set to the bootstrap color that we already have. So we will use this. And we don't seem to have a margin. Let's just see how it looks. Bingo, it looks neat. We don't need to bother much about it. That's the same exact design we needed. Only thing missing is we need to give text transform of uppercase. Case, and there you are. But okay, so this is done. We need to give some action, like when you hover over this link, it should change and it should be a bit more interactive to the user instead of staying static. So we can provide a pseudo class called hover, and then set the background color to same one. Yeah, let's do that. Might be a bit contrasting, and set the font as white, because when you have a black background, you need some contrast font color. So we got it. Looks neat. And to spice things up, we can have CSS3 animations like transition. Using a transition property, we can just set the 500 milliseconds of a background ease in out. So see how it looks. Neat. Okay. Likewise, we can also apply some transition to the font color as well. So let's just have 2 seconds, 2 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds. Color. Yep. How things are working now. Navigation is working perfect. Then hovering on the nav, we can apply furthermore pseudo classes like after and hover after and hover before. Before and after. We can apply some more style. So we add a content. Now what this will do is this will create a content, empty content after anchor tag, after the anchor tag. Okay, so this will create an empty content, and then we'll set the empty content as position absolute and relative. It's a big class. Okay, so we need to cover that as well, because there's no point in going further. Right, the width of let's just say 100% now. Height of 4 pixels. Width, height, background, tomato, color of tomato, which is a red accent. So let's just see whether the one that we need in aspect ratio. No, it's not getting created. Why? It's a mistake. Okay, so the position absolute always needs the parent to be position relative. That's why I mentioned that we need to create a new session for this. Position relative. Yep, we got our underline created. So we can apply effect on those underlines, like during our action. So and then width of 100%, which means here the width should be 0. By default the width is 0. Once when you hover over it, it should become 100%. Okay, so but this should be a bit dynamic and dramatic, like it just shouldn't appear there. It should have some sort of animation built into it. So for that we can do the transition like the one we did earlier. Just apply a transition with the property of width. I think that's pretty much enough. Excellent. So we got what we need. We just built the nav board using our Flexbox and applied the CSS3 animations. We are done with it. But we need to apply some styling. We forgot to apply that. So earlier in the session we created something called container, right? We need to make use of the container because in the next sections of this page we might need to apply the same styling over and over again. For that reason, for that sake, we need to apply something called container. We can define properties inside a container which will have a padding left 3 rem, padding right 3 rems. Let's see. Yep, we have a little bit of spaces, padding spaces on the left and right. So this is and we need to apply some animation, some cool effects on the branding as well. How can we do that? Simple. Go to the branding logo, transition, set it as 2 seconds, 0.2 seconds, which is 200 milliseconds, with background ease in out. Ease in out is a cool effect, so it will just ease in a bit slowly and then out a bit faster, have some sort of fluidic motion. Background with white. Let's just check with the effect. Yeah, it's working. So we need to change the color as well. Color as the default bootstrap color. What we'll do is we'll apply the same transition effect for the color as well. So now let's just check it. Bingo, we have done that. So if you followed along this course, you will be getting something like this. So we successfully completed the nav bar. Now next thing is we need to move to countdowns buttons. Thank you for watching this series. Stay tuned for more updates. Thank you.